In English classes, we often talk about literary devices and literary techniques, but it's always good to see them in action, and Emerson is using them in the essay Self-Reliance because he wants to present this very abstract set of ideas, but he wants to also make them understandable to the readers, so he uses literary devices such as figures of speech. So we're going to look at some of the ones that he uses. All right, so he was a philosopher, but he was also a literary writer, and he really appreciated the value of language. So as a result, he often relies on devices such as figures of speech, and you guys know that there are several different kinds of figures of speech. All right, so we know about comparisons, right? Similes and metaphors. They do that a lot. So let's look at what he said. So he says, though the wide universe is full of good, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him to till. So like early American writers, Emerson really valued industries, and to help his readers see that his hard work and the fruit of it yields, he's comparing that to planting corn. So he's not really talking about a person going out and planting corn. He's comparing that to the hard work of knowing oneself. He also says, trust thyself, every heart vibrates to that iron string. So here he is comparing self-trust to an iron string, which is both strong and flexible. So we got a nice little metaphor here. He said, when one resolves to trust oneself, the heart will affirm any decisions that are made. Finally, we have a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of foolish minds. Another nice little metaphor. He's comparing thoughtless consistency, so somebody just doing the same thing over and over again, but giving no real thought to why they're doing it, to a mischievous gremlin, okay? And if a person is consistent only for the sake of just being consistent, then the trick's on him. He's not growing and he is not learning. So he bases his comparisons both on nature and on human society. And often his comparisons with nature help express a positive idea about individuality. So these comparisons and then the comparisons based on society often express a negative idea. All right, so let's take a look at this. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. All right, so he is saying that like a business, society is made up of shareholders who surrender their independence in exchange for basic comforts and for the good of the corporate body or for the good of society. And he says that the members are all agreeing to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. So Emerson has a negative view of society because he believes that it crushes individuality. So hopefully you can now see how Emerson not only uses these literary devices in his writing, but how he uses them to his advantage. Knowing how to use them and use them well is very powerful for a writer.